All right, guys, we're live. GuardianCast episode 37 with
Woo.
Rebase. How's it going, man?
Yo, guys, thanks for having me. How
Uh,
goes it? Happy Friday to all.
Pretty good. So, Rebase is a Destiny 2 streamer in the PC community. Do a lot of PvP, right? Mostly PvP.
Yeah, mostly PvP. I'll throw in some PvE memes every once in a while, and just to show the community how not to do things. You know what I mean?
So, how long have you been playing Destiny, and what got you into it?
Ooh, let's see. It's been like a pretty on again, off again relationship. I started with Destiny 1, like year one on launch on PS4, and loved the game.
Mm.
Despite the like terrible loot pools and like spending hours on hours in the loot cave and Forever 29, you know what I mean? There was just like something that had me hooked, probably because I'm just always like a huge like action RPG looter type gamer. Like Diablo and Borderlands and all that stuff is my jive.
Right.
So I played that for I think until Crota dropped, and then I was just so disappointed in that DLC that I gave it up for whatever reason. Um, so then I kind of just took a break for a really long time, and I still kept up with the community. So over the span of the next few expansions, I saw that everybody was falling back in love with D1, and it kind of followed the same path as like D2, right? But for whatever reason, I just never picked it back up. So then when D2 was announced to be launching on PC, I figured like, oh, I'll build a PC and then move over there. So I've been playing ever since.
Good plan. Have you like played first person shooters your whole life, like competitively, or you been more of like a World of Warcraft guy, or what's your story?
Yeah, primarily first person shooters. Like I
Yep.
grew up as a Halo kid.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was always a console player. Never. This is really my first foray into PC first person shooters.
Really?
So yeah, I
Same
don't have any
here.
experience like
Yeah.
with Overwatch, Counter Strike, like nothing like that. Games that might actually require me to have like mouse and keyboard skill would probably highlight my weakness there. But
Yeah.
I love Halo, man. Like Halo is probably my favorite game of all time, or Halo 2 specifically. I put thousands upon thousands of hours in that game. I
Yeah.
played like semi-competitively. Like I went around to like regional tournaments and stuff, but nothing ever, huge came of that.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about the game right now in general?
Personally, having played, like I said, I've been playing Destiny on again, off again. I think this is the best iteration of Destiny. There's definitely things that I think they went to extremes on that I disagree with to try and pull back some of the player base that had left because some of the magic was gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the balancing decisions specifically for PvP are like left me scratching my head. And in terms of just things they did to overhaul the weapon system and make certain exotics like insane for PvE, I think were like great choices. But then they just sort of like glazed over the PvP effects of those fundamental changes to the game would have, in my opinion. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe they did balance testing and were like, you know what, this is well enough balanced, like let's just release it.
Well, I think we can all agree it's still, like, in terms of like exotic balance, it's still more balanced now than it was during Vigilance Wing, Graviton Lance time, right? Like those were such outliers compared to every other weapon, where now at least there's viable weapons other than exotics that you can use.
That's true. I'll 100% agree with that. Weapon viability right now is like through the roof. You can run a bunch of different things, have success. Armor, on the other hand, I think is and class balance is
Yeah,
way skewed to
I
certain
agree with
things.
that.
And I honestly didn't mind like two primary meta. I agree that it was probably like boring for most aspects of gameplay, but for like competitive PvP, two primaries was fine. Um, in my opinion.
So what would
It
you
could lead to
say
some.
to, like, I mean, there's a lot of community leaders like Triple Rex, Sir Demetrius that really rail against that sentiment, and say that it's not fun, even like PvP specifically, without special weapons because the game isn't fast paced enough, you know, and the time to kill was a problem.
And I agree that there were problems in that meta. Like it was far too lane heavy and people were not incentivized to push enough. But I think there were other problems with like time to kill was too long. There were there's no map objectives or any reasons to push. You don't like cooldowns in general for PvP were problematic. So in Halo, you never walked around with a shotgun, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't call Halo a fast-paced first-person shooter, but nobody ever complained that like, hey, I want to spawn with a shotgun all the time. And I feel like the reason for that is they just enabled the player to have enough tools at their disposal to give them the ability to outplay others. Like you always spawn with 2 grenades that were always up, and if you grenaded like BR'd somebody, they were dead, and that was like optimal time to kill, right?
I think though the huge difference with Halo, like we had a comparable time to kill in Destiny 2 Vanilla to Halo, but the fundamental difference is like the mobility in this game is much faster than Halo. So a shotgun is not nearly as lethal in Halo because you have to kind of camp with it to be effective, or you have to surprise somebody with it, you know. In this game you can really just like jump towards people, jump over their heads, slide towards them, that kind of, you couldn't do any of that in Halo, you know.
Yeah. You had run, like all you had was like,
you didn't even have run in Halo 2 and 3.
Yeah, all I could do
Halo
was
2 and
move
3 it was
forward.
just walk.
Yep, just walk. So that's why battle rifle was so lethal, because it was just like you might as well tap them 4 times in the head.
Yeah, well, my favorite Halo mode was always SWAT anyway. So that was, for me, that was, I don't know if that was just the.
So you liked Call of Duty Halo?
Yeah, well, it was. Well, Call of Duty was right around that same time, right?
Yeah.
When Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Not around Halo 2. It was around Halo 3.
Yeah. So like, well, SWAT came in around Halo 3 or 4, right? It was a response to Call of Duty.
SWAT? I think SWAT was in Halo 2,
SWAT.
right?
I think they did.
Well, you could do
SWAT, right?
you could do no shields, but it wasn't an actual
people
until later.
Oh yeah, that's right. In Halo 2 they added
came
like people's playlists into like real matchmaking playlists, didn't they?
Yeah. Which is why which is another reason why I have such a hard time with why we don't see that like now.
Oh my god. Don't let's not get that could be a whole 2-hour conversation in itself.
But I mean, I fully agree with you. Like movement in Destiny is fundamentally different and it's way more fast paced. And so the time to kill with the existing, even with the old slower movement, it was terrible, right? Like you had so many opportunities to escape and kills were just so few and far between. So I think they absolutely needed to reduce like time to kill on all primary weapons. I don't necessarily think they had to revert back to old weapon system. That being said, like PvP right now is fun because people are willing to push and not just, you know, sit back with pulse rifles, like you said, and handhold. It's just a different experience. I don't think this, to me, this incarnation is much more casual, which is fine. Like, I don't think Destiny is intending to go for ultra competitive, you know, $10,000 tournament type of FPS gameplay. I think the old meta was more suited towards taking a step in that direction. And if they wanted, you know, Destiny to be like really focused on esports, then I think they should have tweaked that weapon system more. I also think part of the problem is there's just no good objective game modes in Destiny, which I don't understand. Like, where's like neutral bomb? Where's capture the flag? Where's you know,
we've talked about a lot of that stuff. I think capture the flag specifically would be the best because it's at least a movement-based objective rather than defending a stationary object is like impossible in this game, you know.
I think the thing that we realized with Breakdown is a lot of these like traditional kind of FPS like competitive style modes like get broken with Destiny because of ability recharge time. Like the frequency that you have things like nades and melees and supers like really make like objective defense and like area control like just very like anything non-mobile feels very bad.
I think the spawns are a bigger deal because like to that point in Halo you could have like 8 grenades at a time, You could literally like run into somebody's base,
Yeah.
have like 4
Yeah, you
plasma
could.
grenades and 4 frag grenades.
Yeah, but a Halo frag grenade is a very different experience from like say like a handheld supernova or
No, but
say,
it was
an
an incendiary nade. From D1 it could one shot if you landed it at their feet.
yes, if you
Yeah.
landed it at their feet.
Yeah.
Well, and the sticky grenades were one kill as
And
well.
incredibly difficult to.
But I mean, I get 1 incendiary grenade and it only does 120 damage if I land it perfectly. So
yeah.
I was really good with the sticky
Which
grenade.
sounds worse,
Yeah.
but you know, like in the grand
I was
scheme of
really
things.
good with that sticky grenade in Halo, and I was really good with the sniper rifle in Halo as well.
yeah.
But then, you know,
But
you
so
play
yeah,
like
that's a good
the auto aimers
segue.
a little bit.
Actually, well, before we get into that, like I've got this whole special weapon discussion laid out for us, but how was your week in Destiny this week, guys? Did you
Really
accomplish anything?
Terrible.
I haven't
Terrible?
had much of it.
Terrible, great.
Well, you finished the Rockstar thing. You're done with that, right?
Yeah.
Did you win?
He's top
well,
200.
I did the top 200 thing, so I'm
Yeah.
actually going to try for the last round. So
Yep.
I'm gonna
Wait,
cheat
so
just like everybody else and have 2 people on my account.
Yeah.
And,
you got the top
nonstop
200
and
at least?
mercy. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's only one path forward, and that's to be a scumlord, just like everybody else. Oh well. But yeah, I think I had a hugely fun time this week playing comp.
Yeah.
And a hugely fun time this week. Yeah, just playing comp. Comp's been the only fun thing. Just playing good teams. That's been good. Quick play has been the most miserable experience I've ever had. All the new players coming in, I've always kind of been in the boat that I wish that we had at all times both a non-MMR, like a true non-MMR and MMR playlist. Here's the problem. So quick play, well, comp, the 4v4 format makes solo queuing feel really bad. Like even in ranked Overwatch, you can solo duo queue, and it feels fine because the MMR restrictions are with as far as the people you play with, they're very tight. You're playing with other good players, and it's 6v6 hero shooter. You can queue in and frag out and work with your team and have a fun experience. Queuing in solo into a 4v4 format is very frustrating against teams, and because
Are we talking about comp right now?
yeah, we're talking about comp.
Okay.
And because the meta is not to have your voice communications on with randoms, because that's not a very accepted thing. Solo queuing in comp is just bad, but quick play is just a farm fest. Especially right now, there's it's covered in level 7 guardians. You walk in, all your teammates suck, everybody on the other team sucks, and it's choose your KD. What's the goal here? It's surely not to win, because that's either the most difficult, or it just feels like a lottery. The only thing you're working towards is getting a lot of WeRans for your emblem. It's not fun playing against people that are literally 7 years old on a trackpad with their laptop and just getting kills and getting WeRans, because who cares?
I think you might be just looking at it the wrong way. If you're going in there I don't know, looking to have a really competitive experience, I just don't think that's what the playlist is for. I don't think the playlist is designed for you to go in there with 6 of your most competitive friends and do your best to communicate and stomp the other team.
Well, that's
but you're
the
not gonna
problem
have
now, is that
communication
I
on.
can't play with my friends, because if you queue in at this moment with 2 or more people, it's literally just running from spawn to spawn, seeing who can get shots on the person first before they die. And that's just not a fun experience. Just total pub stompage. I don't know. I'm
No, you're saying that you
Uh,
get a lot of kills and like it's just not fun because it's not challenging, or
I don't know. To me,
Yeah.
it just feels like literally beating up children is just
I
not
just I
fun.
don't know. Like I completely have a different outlook on it. I haven't played any quick play this week during the trial
I
week,
haven't.
but what I can say is like I like to go in there, you know, solo queue or with random people who don't play PvP much, and I just like to not really have to like think or focus or anything, and just like kind of talk to chat and you know, be able to just snipe people out and stuff, and not be like, oh, where am I positioning on the map right now? What's the other team doing? Let's make some call outs. I don't like to have to do that 24/7 all the time, you know, like,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
just
And I
jumping
don't
in
like
there and
that
just
away from
I
Right.
first thought the same kind of thing with like escalation protocol, but then I thought to myself, anybody who I'm doing this activity with is actually going to be bored out of their mind doing something like that. So if it's not like you, what you're saying basically is that you don't have the challenge, so it doesn't seem like a fun experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, before
Rumble
the
is
problem
skill-based
was not-
matchmaking, by the way. So I mean, there's always that too.
it sure doesn't feel like it.
Oh,
There's
it
there's
is.
a lot of people queuing.
It definitely
that's the
is. Yeah.
problem.
No, I
Are we
mean,
sure about that?
I'm 100% sure Rumble is skill-based matchmaking.
I do run into a lot more sweaty people in Rumble. I mean, I think there's still some like balancing in the lobby between it's not always gonna be like 5 other, you know, top X players, but it's at least some percentage of them are gonna be close to your like hidden MMR.
Yeah.
Fuzzy Boy here says his last comp game, who he had the entire team was 2 level 7s, a level 8, and a level 2 with 1 level 20.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know.
So-
I'm curious to hear y'all's experience this week specifically with quick play, because it just feels terrible to me.
I've been playing Gambit mostly, so I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been so busy trying to get that title in Gambit that I have played actually no quick play except when when we were just warming up before comp, which we were stomping then because we had 6 freaking people just like who were pretty good at the game.
Yeah.
And I see what you were saying there, because it's literally just like trying to run to the other side of the map to get the kills before the rest of your teammates can. But
Yeah.
I haven't had that experience a lot like before this playing quick play, because you know, playing solo or with 2 or 3 people that aren't like PvP mains, it doesn't feel that way. It really doesn't. No matter how good you are, like you can jump in, get kills, and like have a good time, and like you might still lose anyway because you're getting those same people in your team too, and it's just like kind of the way it is. I mean, you could definitely be good enough to swing the balance sometimes, but I think that's fine, and I think it feels good to like not be getting coordinated against like all the time.
What would
on a
you say
strategic level.
From the other side of the fence on that though? Because Fuzzy himself said that he got this is his first opportunity because he got the game for free. So so you know, you have that where you just got the game and you're like, all right, let me play some quick play.
Well, all I have to say to that is it must be so hard to get a game for free, and then
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I see both sides of the coin, right? Like I hated quick play in the olden days, right? In year
Yeah,
1, right, when
same.
it was all
Same.
because there's no opportunity to have a PvP experience where you can relax, right? So to
Same.
me, quick play is like infinitely better. This has been since like whenever they accidentally turned off, you know, the matchmaking.
But didn't they accidentally turn it back on?
For like
I know for
2
a brief
weeks.
period, and then they
For like
turned
2
it-
weeks when
yeah.
Forsaken launched, yeah.
And then they were like,
Yeah.
oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, they claimed
so to me,
it was a bug. They claimed it was a bug, but actually, what I think happened was they intended to not have it, and they just wanted to see how the community would react if they didn't notice it. So I get the feel. I get
Yeah.
that's the feeling I get at least.
And I agree. Like I think there needs to be like quick play needs to be like this, right? It just needs to be chaos. mindless almost, to Rex's point. But I get what Huffy's saying. Like it's rather unrewarding to just do that over and over. So yeah, if you want a more rewarding PvP experience than what you have right now is comp or like private games, right? So I've been entering into the every week the Destiny Tracker website is throwing tournaments. They do like open sign up, free registration, 3v3 tournaments. So we've just been doing a bunch of like custom games with other teams and stuff. And to me, that is infinitely better than even comp. Like I can't even play comp for fun anymore after playing that, you know what I mean? Because it's the same thing that you're going through, right? It's like once you've tried comp and you're like challenged and rewarded for doing so, quick play loses some of its luster. And then it's the same when you get into like coordinated like team level type of efforts, right? Where you're always going up against stacks and they're all of like pretty equal skill. It's just so much more challenging and rewarding to play in that environment.
Yeah. I think that my favorite, like, just like I'm learning, I'm learning what I want when like playing Destiny right now. And like, that's kind of a weird experience because they keep like throwing these experiences at me. And it's like, Bungie doesn't know what we want. I'm learning that I don't know what I want. I think my favorite week so far of Destiny has been like last Iron Banner week, where just the ability to choose, like, hey, I want MM or ELO, I want skill-based matchmaking, or I do not want skill-based matchmaking. Like, that has felt really good to me.
You know what's funny? Like since Forsaken, I've hated Iron Banner. Like, not really because of skill-based matchmaking, but just because, I mean, we've talked about it a million times, but it feels like there's no reason to play it. The rewards are terrible. The game type doesn't feel different enough, and they disabled those level advantages, which was like the only defining characteristic of it. So I don't know, it just feels weird now. I think I know that they announce in this TWAB that Iron Banner's coming back. I've got enough other stuff to do. I think I'm just gonna skip it again. Honestly, they didn't say anything is changing about it other than just get your triumphs done. So
for what? I'm sorry.
Next week, Iron Banner's coming back.
Oh, is it the last?
It's the last one for the season. Yeah,
last one of the season.
Nobody
I'm gonna
cares.
live in that just to get away from Taco Eater 98. I don't want to play with Taco Eater 98. I don't want to play against Taco Eater 98.
Taco Eater 98, a common.
That's just
every blueberry in quick play right now.
It's every blueberry.
And you just want to message them and be like, "This is Blizzard. You don't have to put 98. All right, you can just be Taco Eater now. All right."
Yeah, Unformed Lemon, 2007. You're like, wait, how are you born in 2000? Wait, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's only a teen-rated game, so.
All
right. So
like you could buy, if you're 9 years old, you could buy a T-rated game.
I want to talk about special weapon meta that's going on right now. This doesn't have anything to do with the TWAB, just kind of impressions and how people feeling about the sandbox that we're in right now. So I'll put some information out there and we can talk about it. So right now, there's some people who are frustrated kind of by shotguns. I'm gonna argue, like, I don't think they're too strong at all. Like, I really don't think they feel overbearing like they did in D1. In D1, I really felt that, man, they can really hit you from another room and there's just nothing you can do about it. And I don't feel that way right now. At worst, I feel like I can be in a gunfight and I just don't have enough time to finish the gunfight before some like mindless zombie runs straight into me and just keeps sprinting around, and I missed it, and so that's gonna happen from time to time, but I don't think it's that bad.
Do you think that's because of the maps?
Maps are
having less cover?
Maps are smaller, maybe.
Because they definitely have less cover, like like Anomaly, where it's very easy to like get pushed because the lanes are shorter.
I think
But, like-
it more has to do with, like, we're still slightly longer time to kill than Destiny 1. So it just takes, like, that little extra bit of time to wrap up whatever you're doing and reacquire the next person trying to push you.
Yeah, but shotguns most of the time in Destiny 1, like at least in year 1, I remember. I specifically remember shotguns not being like, you couldn't get a shot off and actually kill them. You usually had to get a shotgun punch kind of combo deal.
Oh no, not Fellwinter's Lie, not Matador. No way. I remember like people just sliding straight for me, and like you're shooting at them, but it doesn't even matter because they just get within like the slightest bit of range to you, and it's a one-hit kill.
Was that? What was that shotgun? It was exotic. Was it? I thought it was
Talking
an
about universal
energy.
remote?
What do you ask? An exotic from D1? A shotgun?
Oh, invective.
Invective recharged ammo like every 30 seconds. It wasn't the highest range stat though.
No,
Yeah.
no, but you still had like that was like early on in the beginning of the game. That was kind of the deal. A chaperone in D1, elusive is saying.
Chaperone had a long range, but it's a slug shot, and we'll talk about that. Like you have to get a headshot to get the one-hit kill.
A headshot.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so when you look at the data, shotguns on PC are about 22% of the kills, which is more than most of the primaries, to be fair. The only primaries that have more kills are hand cannons and sometimes pulse rifles. On console, pulse rifles dominate from what I can see, and then hand cannons are a little bit below shotguns, but in comparison to the other special weapons, though, it's kind of ridiculous. Snipers only about 3% of the kills, and then fusion rifles only about 2% of the kills. And I don't think this is really a shotgun problem. I think it's more of a sniper and fusion rifle problem, to be honest. When we talk about shotguns, a lot of people will say they're easy, and to a point, it's like, yes, the barrier to entry is very low. You can pick up a shotgun, and if you have, hands, then you can probably pull the trigger on somebody and get a kill. I mean, it's not like rocket science to figure out how to use a shotgun initially.
Yeah.
You're not going to beat the best players in the world that way. There's definitely, like, you can master a shotgun. You can get kills with a shotgun, and then you can master a shotgun, and there's a lot of like different spectrums in between there. So there is a skill cap to shotguns that's high. It's just that anybody can pick them up and use them, and that's what makes them frustrating as compared to a sniper.
Taco Eater 98 is
Right.
not gonna quick scope you with a God rolled supremacy.
Right, yeah.
Taco Eater 98 can like essentially shoulder charge you with a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think I agree with you. Like, I don't think shotguns are all that terrible. You can maybe balance it so that they don't one shot from quite as far of a range. But if anything, I'm with you. Like, other specials need to be buffed, and I would even still buff primary time to kill a little bit. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, same.
I think 140s should be a 2-head 1 body. Like, I don't think it should be a 3-head kill. Like,
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think even you could, like, I made this point early on. I think you could even make it a little bit further where the armor stat or resilience stat comes into play, and it could be that low resilience guardians get 1 hit 2 body with a 140, where high resilience take 2 head 1 body, and then with a 150 it could be low resilience take 2 head 1 body, and high resilience takes 3 headshots. That way that comes into play as well.
I personally, I think that would definitely be a better, like, a more sensible gaming experience where stats actually mattered. But damn if I don't actually want to have to deal with that.
yeah, I would rather them go back to the like intelligence I forget what the 3 stats were in
Yeah.
game 1, right? But just to have it
Woo!
affect your
That was
cooldowns and normalize health.
Oh,
right?
I
Just
agree
make
with
it
that
health.
too. Like
Yeah.
I don't think having it tied to armor makes any sense. I think especially now that you can't re-roll it, I do like the D1 system better where you could rearrange that with your class build.
Yeah, so they had this system. They said, "Hey, we're gonna make it so that you can change it." Then they made it so that we could change it, and then they took it away from
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
us. So
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
don't
make
know if
any
they just went
sense.
all in on the random rolls, and they're like, "Oh, it can randomly roll light or medium," but I don't know. Like every single thing seems to be like that specific armor seems to be rolling at that thing now. Most of it's mobility armor too, which sucks.
All right, so I have a couple questions I want to ask about shotguns. So the full auto shotguns versus the high impact shotguns, what do you think the most effective thing to use right now? And do you have any concerns about the way the current sandbox is working out? And should they adjust any of those archetypes?
In my opinion, if your goal is just to win a game of PvP, regardless of like what you're playing, full auto is 100% the best shotgun to use. You may not one shot from as far a range as high
Right.
impact, but you mitigate that by just being consistent and being able to spam it and getting kills more often like that anyways, right?
And do you think that's
most
a
of the
good thing for the sandbox? Do you think like,
No.
okay.
I think full auto shotgun should just get removed from the game personally. I mean,
Yes.
it's the same thing with like Ikelos, right? Like Ikelos is DPS is out of control, man.
I
Like,
just
get rid of
got
full auto shots.
Yeah.
I just got a parcel of Stardust with Rampage and full auto.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it makes it the best. Like so again, I don't use them because I've been trying to run like custom games, PR like pre-built rules, right? Like I think there's a group of PvP players that try and enforce a more competitive sandbox by banning certain things, and so full autos are banned, so I don't use autos. And I don't think the current state of high impact shotguns are bad at all. They may kill from a little bit too far,
Right.
but
I think
it's
the
not
full choke
consistent enough
nerf.
that it ruins it.
The full trick nerf was incredible. That literally put shotguns in like a great place, because the only thing that I was like, the only times that I ever felt beat, like I'm a shotgunner, like mainly, like I was having fun sniping, but then like blah 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 exotics. The full choke was causing just like random like god roll shotguns,
Yeah.
like randomly god roll dust rocks to just do some pretty insane shit.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an inconsistent experience. And
Yeah.
I feel like now like rifled barrel is like
Yep.
you don't have to run full choke and you're getting a more consistent experience.
Rifle. Is
It's
it called rifle?
Yeah.
Rifled barrel.
Yep. So rifled barrel right now, if you have a shotgun and you're looking for a good roll, you want full choke or rifled barrel, basically. Full choke is still probably the best choice, honestly, even after the nerf. But
Yeah.
either one is viable. Don't really worry about it. Another thing I wanted
think
to
Mercules
Go ahead.
did his testing right, and then he said that if you run rifle barrel, you basically can get like longer distance one shots, but it's not as consistent as if you run full choke. So you may kill somebody like a meter further away if you have a shotgun with rifle barrel, but you're not always going to do that. And then with full choke, it may be a meter less, but you're going to more consistently do that, you know?
Yeah.
The great thing about rifled barrel, like the more consistency, like with that being a more viable option, is like freehand grip and the way that like affects the spread, like hip firing, like plus rifled barrel is just like, it's really fantastic. You know, just like it kind of lets you embrace PC more and not like have to ADS everything. You know, it's like having that extra bit of like turn speed. I don't know. I guess that's like might be like I play at 400 DPI. It's like it might be like kind of specific to me, I guess, now that I think about it. The complaint, like ADSing a shotgun is suicide. So I was.
You
super
know,
stoked
you can
about
also adjust your ADS modifier as well to compensate
but-
for that. Yeah. I mean, it's literally the perfect solution to what you're talking about.
it. Yeah, I know.
Uh,
It's just like then I'd have to learn non 1-to-1.
yeah. Well, yeah. Last thing about shotguns, just the slug shotties where they fall in the sandbox. I think the legendary ones, like, they feel kind of weak. I don't really know, like, see much of a point to use them. The chaperone just feels like just weird. It's like it hits a headshot no matter what, almost. And like,
Yeah, Chaperone's pretty god tier right now. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
So I don't know what the balance with that
That
is.
kind of bleeds into the next thing because I don't even see it on the list here
What?
for usability for power.
Power.
Oh no, I guess it's kinetic, isn't it? Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think
mean-
there's a certain player from BSK changed who's like
Dude.
kind of popularizing a build. and
Holy
he just
crap!
runs Chaperone middle tier Night Stalker with the wall hacks, and the dude first off is probably like one of the best players in the
Yeah.
game. So he consistently hits shots, but because he consistently hits shots, he just ends every game with like a 50 KDA. You know what I mean? Like it's actually nuts.
That's crazy. All right.
Yeah, I played him the other day, and I was like, "Holy freaking yeah!" I was like flipping out, like to chat, like I couldn't believe that he was popping off, like I'd never seen someone pop off like that and not been able to do anything about it because he was invisible and he was off radar the whole time. The whole time he was off radar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Literally like never exited the wall hack like state,
And-
and because of his insane gun skill and his ability to just like stay off radar, he literally just slid forward with Chaperone all game.
Wow.
It's just disgusting.
So
So
let's,
in the right hands, Chaperone's the best shotgun in the game. It's just, which is good. It like rewards, your gun skill, which is how guns should be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
don't you feel like the hitbox is like much bigger than the head though?
That's
Oh, yeah,
that's
you
true
can
of
just put it in
most
there.
guns. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
Does he ADS
specifically
with
with
that Chaperone or no?
with a one-hit kill ability, I think it's a little different. But
Did he ADS with the Chaperone or no?
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
ADS.
yeah,
You
you
have
have
to.
to.
Get headshot. It's a double body shot kill. It's just not really. I mean, you can body shot melee. I think at maybe certain armor values or something, but you're going for headshots almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So let's talk about snipers. I have a couple recommendations. So right now, I listed what I think are the 3 biggest issues causing snipers to not see a lot of use, other than the barrier to entry, which we already talked about. So the ammo economy, like we've mentioned multiple times on this podcast, is a little bit of an issue because since dead bodies are what drop bricks of or of special ammo, if you're killing them from a distance, more than likely your teammates are going to steal the special. You're just going to be out after 2 shots. If you run some scavenger perks, you can randomly run over other dead bodies that you didn't happen to snipe out or you got into a primary gunfight with. You can get a decent amount of ammo that way, but I think in comparison to just running through people with a shotgun, there's definitely a huge imbalance there. The next thing is the flinch, and I know this is controversial. Like, a lot of people really don't want to see the flinch go because they feel that if they engage somebody first, that they shouldn't be able to be one hit. I think you should have an opportunity to make a skilled play to overcome a fight that you're losing. And people will say, oh, well, people land headshots on me all the time, even with the flinch the way it is. There's so many factors that go into that. The latency is one thing, so you might think you shot them first, but on their screen, like, they could be so far latency on the network that they may have shot you first, and then they're like, why am I getting hit by a pulse rifle after I killed them,
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, unflinching perks don't work the way we think they do. It's doing all sorts of weird stuff, whereas if you're off your target and then you get flinched, it like brings your reticle close to their head. But if you're on the target and you get flinched, then it just puts you in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of RNG involved in it, and I'd like to just reduce some of that. I think honestly the most fair thing is just like rewarding the person's gun skill. So if they're on the person aiming correctly and they get flinched, like it really should just reset back to where it was, rather than being like, oh, if you're at their feet and you get flinched, now you're at their head. If you're on their head and you get flinched, now you're off in Timbuktu. That makes no sense at all. And then the last point I want to make, and I'll just open this up to you guys, is I think the role of archetypes for snipers is not different enough. The 72 and 90 RPM ones are almost exactly the same because you can't shut down supers even with the highest impact. It feels like the cadence doesn't really make a huge difference. The body shot damage is like minimal difference. I prefer the highest highest impact, the 72s. But another problem with that is like I'm limited to only that stupid gambit scope. There's no like normal scopes with normal reticles.
Yeah.
And then the 140s, they have a little bit of a different role, but the body shot damage is so low that you're aiming for headshots, which kind of makes it feel weird to me that you're able to spam like you are, because in my mind, if you're spamming shots with a sniper, you're probably just trying to body them, but that's not really the case with this, because like it might take 3 body shots in some cases for whatever reason, so that's not really like the best strategy. And then I personally, at that fire rate, I have never ever like double tapped at the max fire rate, missed my first shot but hit the second shot. So I've seen other people do it. I've seen
like
other
the
people
main
do
way.
it, but that's why I just hate that archetype. I just will not touch it. Like for me, it's I want a quick scope in, and I either hit it or I don't, and I'll recalibrate after if I missed. But I don't understand this like spam, like, and then on the second shot I end up hitting a headshot. That's just weird to me. But
yeah, I feel like I have similar feelings with regards to the fastest rate of fire sniper rifles as I do with they should just be gone. They just encourage spam, and oftentimes it's the fastest rate of fire snipers that end up having the largest like headshot hitboxes and the largest like bullet magnetism associated with them, like a. So I'm a terrible sniper, and I know that. And the only sniper I can actually do decent with is Alone as a God, because it's like so forgiving with its aim. And if I mess up, just recoil in general, if they're not shooting at me, resets to the point quickly enough that I can just hit my second shot, right? Yeah, I think they should be gone. And I'm not super familiar with other like PC-based first-person shooters, but I just think there shouldn't be flinch. I don't know if that would make snipers absolutely dominant. It's not like they one-shot body shot kill anyways, right? So it's not like people are just gonna be running around with high-impact snipers doing absolutely insane, ridiculous things. So like, what's the fear?
Yeah, for sure.
I agree with that.
You know, I can get on board with like the idea that like in an optimal world the 140s don't have a role, but now like them being like the way the supremacy handles, you know, and like the scope zooms on them, like without them we would have no snipers that had good handling scopes. So
That's true.
which is like, you know, a different issue, but
so there is another thing I want to mention in the difference between archetypes. They made this weird balance now where the 140s have the highest aim assist but the lowest range, and the 72s have the highest range but the lowest aim assist. And what I'm noticing from that is up close the 140s like are monsters. They have a huge hitbox. Downrange, especially if you're in Gambit, I think like if you're not using a 72, you're just doing it wrong, because like there's literally people sitting still and you are like aimed right on their head, and if you don't have the range on that sniper, it just like doesn't hit. It won't connect. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
hitbox, like the range stat has drop off in both directions. Is the thing.
It's accuracy. It's the accuracy cone.
Yeah, you can notice that like even like using like different like hand cannons with like higher range like also like are harder like to land like consistent headshots with like closer distances, and that has like to do with zoom. You know, like you compare like zoom between like Ace of Spades and Not Forgotten and stuff too. But you know, like that, like I think I noticed it for the first time in D1. You know, where like from across the map, the what was the name of that scout? That really great scout from Wrath of the Machine.
Oh, it's been so long. I can picture it. The Siva scout.
Yeah. But the range was so high on it that from across the map you could not hit anything but a headshot. But even like as they came closer to you, like you would literally be aimed up right on their head and get body shot damage, just because like the drop off like just was working against you at that point, the range stat. And so like that's just causing. I think that's good. You know, like I'm happy that the 140s are not effective at that range. I think that like it gives them like a unique feeling and like a role. Again, I don't think we're in an optimal world, but I think that like having them also have that ability to just like hit from across the map makes like 72s feel more
I think I'm okay with like significant damage fall off, but there's something just feels inherently wrong in any with any weapon where if you have somebody that you're aiming at and like it is clear that you are aimed on your target and it just doesn't connect, or worse than that, well, I don't know about worse, but still equally frustrating, like they'll be on a head glitch and then you shoot their head and like that's the only thing on the screen, and then it'll do body shot damage because of a weird inaccuracy thing that's happening in the game, because of a range stat. And I think that that's just bizarre, honestly. I think that if you don't understand this game like so fundamentally like we do, then you jumping into it, you would just be like, this game is broken, this doesn't make any sense. I aimed at that guy, it must be just lag or something, but it's not lag. There's like RNG built into every shot, you know.
Well, when you're not at optimal range, it's like the same.
Talking about snipers or
every weapon in the game, actually. Yeah. Every weapon, the range. So basically, John Wisniewski described this once and said that range affects the cone of accuracy. So if you have a cone coming out of the barrel of your weapon, the range stat will determine how wide the cone is. The better the range stat, the tighter the cone, and the smaller the space that your bullet will travel in. And if you have a horrible range stat, it could literally just be a wide range or a wide cone of inaccuracy, and you get ghost bullets, you know. And in D1 it was much worse.
Of accuracy comes from cone grows as you maintain fire.
Right. Well, no, that's fire rate bloom cadence is what you're talking about. Bloom is different though. Even initial shots on range can be affected by inaccuracy.
Yeah. I mean, but it's the same mechanic that makes it to where you can't laser someone from an auto rifle, you know, like at the end of like the end of A lane on Radiant Cliffs, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and
like
in
it's
general, I like the range stat being there because it does give different guns effectiveness in different parts of different maps. Where I think where there's a problem is theoretically, to your point, like given that you should just want to max range on any gun, right, and have it effective at any, but it doesn't always work like that, and it's like deceptively so. And a lot of the, at least in PvP, a lot of the maps don't necessitate having a maxed out range stat, which is why scout rifles are just kind of always going to be useless unless they just make an absolutely massive like Blood Gulch type of map in D2, right?
Yeah.
Where there's
which everyone would hate. I can guarantee everyone would hate it.
Yeah, I would not like that experience. But in the meantime, it's like, why would you just why would you run a scout over a pulse? There's no reason, because the range on any map doesn't necessitate it. So
yeah, even in Gambit, sometimes I'm like on the other side of the map and I get like 3-tapped with a bygone. So I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's the point of a scout rifle, dude? You know.
Do you think, Rebase, that, because I've always had the theory, but do you think that if they significantly reduced scope zoom on scouts to match the pace of Destiny 2 PvP, that they would be more effective and more widely used?
I could see that, because it's the same thing with snipers, right? To your point, you want a short zoom sniper rifle. That's like part of your god roll, and I think that could definitely help them.
What do you think, Recked?
I think that is a visual aid for sure, but I think that ultimately the time to kill on scouts is the biggest hindrance. Like, it's just too slow, you know, like even the
time
Mida.
to kill is pretty good. Like, it's decent. Like,
It's still like what, like 1.2 seconds, something like that.
not optimal.
I don't know, I'd have to break out the spreadsheet to know for sure.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
But
It's definitely not 1.2 seconds. It got brought in line, which is here. 1 second. Do you think?
okay.
Yeah, I think if you just look at a pure numbers standpoint, like, scout rifles should be competitive. I think.
Well, they're
I don't
definitely
really
not
know.
being
I haven't
used.
experimented enough.
Another problem, every scout rifle I've used, probably other than Mida, has like the slowest handling ever, which I just hate. It makes it like, I hate those type
That's
of
another
weapons.
thing that I think is like a problem with most guns in Destiny, is handling just kills your momentum.
Yep.
Right? Like,
Yep.
going back to the changed example, so his loadout, Chaperone, Jack Queen King, and the reason he runs Jack Queen is, well, A, he can't, like, he doesn't want to farm for a Waking Vigil, but B, is it's because it's the highest handling hand cannon in the game.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you want to swap guns, why, if your favorite gun has slow handling, why is it that it feels like a heavy machine gun when you pull it out?
Man.
It just kills your momentum and like kills your ability to outplay people, right? If you like snipe, want to switch your hand cannon and finish them off, like body shot, like, you know, switch to hand cannon and finish them off. You just can't do it with most guns.
He should pay for a Waking Vigil recov, because it's 1,000,000 times better than that piece of crap. I hate the Jack Queen King.
I actually really like Jack Queen. That's how I got my solar kills, was my Jack Queen.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, scout rifles are optimally 0.8, which is not great, but it's
That's actually pretty good.
pretty damn good.
I didn't really expect that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to mention is fusion rifles. I have no idea what they should do with this. This has been a struggle in Destiny. Like, they're either like way too good or they suck ass. In console right now, Telesto is apparently like the biggest nuisance ever. It's not a huge issue on PC. Every once in a while I get mapped by a Telesto because somebody's using a controller, but it's not like dominating the Crucible. Whereas
it's literally just when someone has aim assist.
Yeah. And it's because those explosion.
Right?
It's the explosion bolts have 0 fall off damage.
Yeah.
On Telesto specifically. But so the regular fusion rifles, you look main ingredient or whatever you want to look at, whatever archetype of fusion rifle, it's like, how much range do you want to give them? Because they could just be like the most annoying thing in the world, you know, or they could suck. I don't know what they. What do you guys think they should do?
Effective if you use controller. Like, if you run around like on controller with a main ingredient, I mean, you can like literally destroy.
When Forsaken dropped, did they do anything to fusions? Like, you know, other than moving them into the primary and secondary slots, like, did they have any sort of balance nerf?
No,
because I swear, like, towards the end of year one,
No, they didn't.
I'll check.
I swear, towards the end of year one, I was using like main ingredient again in like custom matches and doing fine, but then it just doesn't feel like it has the same impact even.
Well, that's because we're more powerful now. Like shotguns were much more deadly. Like in the
Well,
beginning.
yeah, the time it takes you to charge up, like you could already be shot twice, and then if you miss any of your bolts, you're just screwed, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know what, like, if you guys remember at the very, very beginning of Vanilla Destiny 1, fusion rifles were obnoxious. You could hit them at any range. Like, you just aimed, like, if you had a plan C, or, you know, whatever, you pulled it out, and it was like, zip, and then across the map, it was one-hit kills. It was crazy. They had to, like, nerf them very quickly, because it was just like, oh, holy crap, like, why wouldn't you use a fusion rifle? It has infinite range. And then from there, they just nerfed them over and over and over again for no reason. But
like throwing knives.
yeah.
Yeah.
But throwing knives were never like that strong.
So there exists some kind of algorithm to balance like range and damage drop off and stuff to make fusion rifles totally broken, because ideally they should fill the like range gap between a sniper rifle and a shotgun, but I just feel like it's so hard to balance because you don't want to invalidate shotguns and you don't want to invalidate sniper rifles, but then you also don't want your mid-range game to not have any primaries because everybody's just running around with a fusion. Like, I don't know, it's tough.
I'll let you guys add anything you want to this discussion before we move on, if you have anything else to say.
Move
It's
to
almost
lesser
like
to
they'd
heavy.
have to.
That's all I want.
Yeah, move to lesser to heavy. Amen.
Okay. Yeah, and that would fix a lot of the console problems too. Like, I'm sure that they would definitely benefit from that a lot more.
Yeah, move it to heavy, and then buff the crap out of the thing in PvE. Let it just be like a god tier PvE explosive monster. Put that thing in the heavy slot. Give everybody who's rating like something else to 6 Telesto Riven kill. Bam! Have a great time. Get that shit out of the crucible.
I don't know if it's strong enough to do that now. Is it? Probably not.
That's why he's saying buff it. Yeah.
Yeah, buff the crap out of it.
To compete with Sleeper.
Yeah, make it 1,000 voices, right? 1,000 voices is another fusion rifle in the heavy.
There's like
Sorry.
Yeah.
That thing is really, really fun to play against in comp right now. Wow. For the 401k teams.
Yeah, it's great in Gambit when you see them shoot it at you. You think you have time to react to it, and you don't. You're just dead. So it's great.
Like the old Prometheus lens, and it's like it didn't even. Oh, it touched me. I guess
it's more strong than the old Prometheus lens because it makes the whole environment around you explode.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when you're getting shot by it, it's actually kind of funny because like you actually think that you're not getting shot by it at all. Like you think they just have really bad aim.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm looking over at them. I'm like, oh, this guy.
Yeah, what a pleb, dude.
Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
It
a Queen Breaker is more fun anyway, so
yeah,
it's still more fun.
So
I mean, it is a lot of fun.
I will quickly mention, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, that they are making some performance improvements to console load times, specifically loading into activities, signing into the game, and opening any UI menus. They say they're going to make significant improvements. I don't know how they're doing that. It's probably going to break the game. Just be ready, all right? Just be ready, guys.
I think that if we see those performance improvements on console, I mean, I would hazard a guess to see that they're probably very close to being on their way for PC then.
Nope. Because the whole reason they're doing it is because this is not a problem on PC because of SSDs. But on console, they're probably, if I have to take a guess, trimming the memory all over the place in like, especially like the open world patrol areas.
Yeah, which means it's going to make the PC run better. Just as like a,
I don't think they're adjusting the PC build because those are sacrifices you have to make. Basically, you have to tell the game like don't load as much of the map, and just load it when you like walk over there. So those little spinning things, you're you're going through an area and it's like, oh, you're loading. You know, they're probably going to encounter that more, but they'll get in there faster, so it's better. I don't know. There has to be a trade-off, though. If there wasn't, they would have done this at the beginning. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's I really hope that we eventually get a PC patch for year one content, because right now it's incredible. Like, it actually blows my mind how like I can play any Forsaken content and literally just be like frame capped the whole time, like 200, 240, like running strikes, running the fighting Riven and having like 240 frames, and it's like what is happening right now? And then you go to the EDZ, and you have 20 frames in Trostland.
I've never gone down to 20, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's an exaggeration. I really hope that they eventually push out like an optimization patch, whatever they did for the Forsaken content. Like if you can just throw some of that good.
Well, they said, all that being said, that like the loading from orbit to the EDZ would be reduced from over 2 minutes now to what it is now to just over 1 minute.
Yeah. Which we're not taking over 2 minutes on PC. That's like a console specific
Some
thing.
people are, though. And that's what.
Yeah, like, if they don't have an SSD.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like those improvements should be in all cases. And the SSD would just be improved on top of that, which just means everybody gets faster.
As long as we never go back to the old Iron Banner loading times, I'm happy.
Oh,
that was like brutal. Like waiting in orbit for 10 minutes to get into a game of Iron Man, and then ultimately the fix was.
Well, it's interesting that the cache has been the problem. Like,
and almost all of the problems.
Yeah, we're still having problems with, like, if somebody's checking shaders, you can't, like load into your PvP match or click the launch button. It was much worse. Like the black screen glitch that plagued the game, especially on console for years, was literally, now it's safe to talk about because it just doesn't work anymore. Like, it was literally just a menuing thing where you would like go in your menu and like unequip an item and tab really quick, and then like re-equipping an item and then tab really quick. It was just like literally doing that really fast, and people were just like holding you in orbit on console, and it's
that's
like
disgusting.
What is this game?
Yeah.
The fact that you could even do that to somebody is kind of ridiculous. I mean, not the fact that somebody was doing it, that's bad too, but like the fact that the game doesn't have like individual loading times for that stuff.
Yeah.
It's tough because like
you should be able to at least hit the launch button at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a software engineer for my day job, so like I sympathize. Programming is really hard. Ultimately, I think what I really just hope is that for whatever D3 ends up being, they don't just scrap their engine and the tooling they have to work with, because while things may be bad now,
no, they
are
should just
making
use Unreal Engine is what they should do.
I think they should just build on what they have. Like, it's so hard to make the jump. Like,
I completely disagree. Like, I think that their engine has been their biggest development bottleneck since D1. I mean, like, did you ever like listen to them talk? I know that they made like significant improvements, but in Destiny 1 they used to say, like, if they wanted to edit anything, like say they wanted to change one little thing in a Crucible map where they just like removed like one object in the map, they said they would have to load the map, and they'd boot up a PC and load it in their engine, and it would take 12 hours. They would have to do it at the end of the workday, press the button, and then come back the next day and hope that it didn't crash overnight while they were trying to load it up. Then they could take it out and shut everything down and save it and export it, which would take more time. So, I mean, that's just like crazy because they're using an engine that dates all the way back to Halo Reach. It's just really old and antiquated, and even with the improvements that they made, look how long it still takes them to fix certain things. It just like the smallest, most trivial things like tend to be huge problems, like the sniper glitch where they wanted to like reduce flinch. That took them like 5 months because of a glitch in the system. I think that honestly, with a new title, that they have to rebuild this engine.
I think the problem I'm trying to avoid, I think, is the reset from D1 to D2, right? Like if they go with new engine, unless they're talking about D3 being a title that comes out in 2020 or 2020,
I think they are.
2020.
It's just gonna be so vanilla again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
No, use the Unreal Engine.
But but either way, that it's still going to be like
still
all
ramp
of
up,
their
right?
engineers have to
Eventually.
learn a new engine. It's going to
Yeah.
take time. There's going to be a whole new set of problems with that. But I think we're all just tired of the problems we have.
I think those problems are easier to handle, though.
Eventually.
I mean,
I
you're
don't know
dealing with the
anything
same
about-
thing. Like Fallout 76 is dealing with the same kind of problems because they're using their own engine as well.
I don't
They're-
want to talk about that game that is now dead to me.
Yeah, dude. 63 FPS.
Yeah, they literally they came back to respond to all the they have literally been addressing problems like as they came out. They're like, oh yeah, we're giving you this. Like people are like, oh, I want to adjust FOV, and they're like, yeah, we're working on it. Here's the thing, here's the slider. Oh, we don't want depth of field. They're like, here's an option, and they're just like giving the community what they want. Like, hey, we're here, our ears are open, we want to fix it. And then people are like, hey, I run faster when I uncap my frame rate.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, now you can't uncap your frame rate. Dead
Yep.
to me.
And
So what?
It's worse than that. It's worse than that,
60
Huffy.
frames per second now?
Yeah, it's capped at 63. It's worse than that though, because I watched something on Fallout 76 this week, and PC Games did an interview with a Fallout 4 modder, a very experienced Fallout 4 modder, and he got a bunch of mods from Fallout 4 working in Fallout 76, and they were like, this game isn't even out yet. How do you already have these mods working? This is crazy. It could break the game. And he's like, because it's literally the same game as Fallout 4. So like, he's like, I didn't have to change anything. The mods worked because the game is literally the same. And and everything, he's like, everything works on the client side. Like the server does not verify anything. You can literally.
There were a lot of extraneous claims. I looked into that as well. And I watched the video. Like it was definitely overblown. There's a lot of server-side checking that goes on, but there's also a lot of like client-side manipulation that is possible that they're looking into. It's definitely not as bad as they.
Well, that's what Bethesda says. Bethesda says, well, there's some factually inaccurate things here, but we're already aware of the things that are true that he brought. I mean, that just sounds like dismissive to me,
So we have Fallout 76 though and Destiny both sharing the
engine
they
issue.
still have the issue with I don't even know, they might be sharing the same engine. I don't know.
No, they're custom engines.
I know, but like 1,000 voices is doing half damage on console right now because of the frame rate.
Or are we doing double damage?
No, they're saying it's half damage.
Okay.
They're saying, according to it was a known issue, and this thing they said that we know that it's it's an issue with them doing half damage. 1,000 voices. Where's it?
Well, it's just like the 1K voices doesn't shoot out a beam, like from a coatings perspective. It shoots out a whole bunch of little dots of plasma, which like are bound to your refresh rate.
But I do share your concerns though, Rebase, about like the reboot. But I think regardless of engine, we're gonna be in a bad situation with that because it seems like they're gonna do a reboot regardless of what we tell them because of the new consoles coming out. I think they're gonna try and make the game for the new consoles in 2020. And
60 frames per second. It's what they should.
I can't even promise that. I don't know. If they really reboot again and don't do 60 FPS on console and dedicated servers, then like I think people are just gonna have a conniption. So, I just hope they take their time. If they're gonna reboot again, take your time and please don't like remove so many features from the game and make it feel
Exactly.
like it did. You know.
Yeah. Can I tell you here's what I'm scared of. I'm scared about this Activision news coming out today.
Oh yeah, it's in.
yeah.
I put it in miscellaneous. Did you see it in there?
No, I didn't.
So are
look
we?
at
Are
it.
we?
I put
I
the
just saw it on
Kotaku
Twitter.
article. Yeah, there's
Okay.
that terrifies me because Forsaken is the best thing that
Yep.
they've ever released for Destiny.
Yep.
This is the best Destiny. And listen, don't you dare fucking change direction. Like,
Yep.
let me know how much Eververse I have to buy for you.
Well,
to keep
I was
doing
gonna
this.
say the exact same thing. I think
Like,
if you can look at the Kotaku article I put in here, and they said basically in their earnings call today that Destiny 2 is not performing as well as they wanted it to, and that they didn't sell as many copies as they wanted to, and they're looking at changing the
Are we talking about
monetization
Forsaken?
strategy. Yeah, Forsaken. They said
Yeah.
it didn't sell well, even though
well, that's because Destiny 2 Year 1 was an actual pile of
Yep,
trash.
Yeah.
I agree. But honestly, though, I wholeheartedly agree with your sentiment, and I think that I would happily pay a fucking subscription fee. Just don't screw this up, because if you do it again, like, I'm out. Like, there's no way I can handle another Destiny 2 Year 1 situation over again, because
Well,
you
think
guys.
that was what the spend $10 on this one emote is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So, like,
apparently that's
stupidly-
not even performing well enough. Like,
Well, and I wonder if part of it is like just out of this world expectations from Activision, right?
No,
because
it's
they
not-
also
it's not
in that
really.
same call they were saying that Call of Duty sales disappointed, and it hit like $500 million in sales, right?
I agree.
Yeah, the problem
Which-
is how their stocks, how Activision Blizzard stock roll is like, that's why you can't buy Activision stock and like sell it for like a profit, because they literally bake the idea that they're going to sell 600 million or $1 billion or whatever into their stock price a month before the game comes out. So they're expecting the performance of the game to do really well, and it tanks if it doesn't.
Yeah.
Which is a bad,
Honestly,
which is a bad move.
I get video games as a business, it's an industry, but like corporate greed, man, it just makes me so mad. Honestly, it ruins everything in life.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we do need to, like, as a community, try and like support the game, because it's not free for the devs to like do this for a life.
Right.
Like,
And that's
these are-
why I've always defended like the price of Destiny, and then like even like the annual pass and stuff like that. I'm okay with it. If you're giving me content for my money, that is fine. Like, I'm not going to complain about that. I think I've gotten my money's worth out of Destiny, but please don't change the game design to try and appeal to casuals again.
Frankie makes a good point. He said that about the Diablo Immortals feedback that they received. That they're having to restructure a lot of their projections and their estimations for what they expect games to do. So Forsaken might have done really well, but they might have upped their forecast for it because of an incoming firestorm of hate that they have.
Wow.
Because of Diablo Immortal.
What a joke. How did they not see that coming?
I know.
It literally has more features than Diablo 3 and is for mobile only. Like,
I don't know if I mentioned this last week or I just was talking about it on stream, but that whole Diablo thing, I just want to say how like
We didn't
gaming.
actually talk about it at all because BlizzCon was last week.
You're right.
We didn't...
So I just want to say I think gaming journalism like way overblew this. Like the Jason Schreier from Kotaku was like writing articles saying how like, oh, basically gamers are like entitled, and this guy he was saying how the guy who's made the joke about is this an early April Fool's Day joke? He was like, he was harassing these devs and like, it's not fair to them, they worked hard on this game and stuff. It's like, dude, he made a joke, he didn't attack their families. Like, tone it down a little bit. This is not that big of a deal, like he made a joke about a poorly received game. I'm sorry if it hurt their feelings. Like that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
The developers' feelings?
Yeah, because they were the ones up on stage at BlizzCon, like showing off the mobile game, you know?
Yeah. I didn't actually see it because this year I didn't pay for a BlizzCon ticket because I didn't want the World of Warcraft mount. I mean, that's not why I buy BlizzCon tickets.
Yeah.
The truth comes out.
I mean,
But
let's be honest. I mean, this like get the community being vocal. That's like the biggest thing, you know, that we can do to get the games that we want, right? Like we did it with Destiny 2 Year 1, and I don't know if they had this in the bag from the beginning, but something fucking worked.
Yep.
because
I
Yeah,
can't
we
remember
got
what game it
changed.
was that was just, it was supposed to be expected to be received well, but it was just so poor that I mean, you can look at example after example. A growing title like Minecraft evolved over time because Notch was listening to the people who bought it and played it.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky was received awfully, and years later they released patches that made the game not only playable but the best version of the game that what's exactly what the people who were playing it were expecting when they bought it, and it's a free update. You know, so I just think that like they just need to keep their heads down and just, I was talking about this earlier, like they just need to keep their heads down and just focus on making the best Destiny and just keep doing what they're doing, and don't worry so much about the monetization side of it.
Well, they can't do that. It would be nice if they could, but they have
investors.
Yeah.
The good news is the
I don't
type
want to
of
be
game that
buying
Destiny
$10 emotes though.
Well, so I think that the type of game that Destiny is lends itself well to different avenues of monetization, right? Like there's so many things that you can do for cosmetics outside of just emotes, right? Like why not sell premium shaders that like that are just huge like glows, or like remember when you old school like helmet halo glows, like just do that, right? Just add those in for like super cheap, like direct purchases from Eververse, and boom, like avenue of monetization that doesn't affect anything, just makes you look cool.
The actual failure that I see with Destiny's Forsaken at launch, and Frankie kind of brings it up, I guess, you know, he's talking about Diablo 3, how it wasn't really felt that well until Loot 2.0. And we've had this discussion several times, right? So like the developer can only do so much. It becomes like it's kind of half and half, like the marketing behind the game. Now, I don't know the whole marketing budget behind Forsaken, but we talked about this many moons ago. It's like when you make a enormous change that's going to impact every system in the entire game, you have to tell people about it, and you have to market it in a way that makes people realize that the game is completely changed, a la Loot 2.0 and Diablo. Because once Loot 2.0 came in Diablo, everybody was not only buying it, but they were playing it again. And it became this new awesome thing that everybody wanted. And that didn't happen with Forsaken. I don't know if it was Activision. I don't know if it was Destiny. But in the end, it really didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? Even though the game, like, so now they have to go with the slow build strategy, which sucks because they have made a lot of improvements, and you know, we're convincing one person at a time instead of, you know, masses of people.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about Spectral Blades?
Woo!
Oh, yeah,
Huffy Buff.
Yeah.
Hey, Huffy Buff. Let's go, Huffy Buff.
I commend you for using that terrible subclass for so long, and I just hope that these changes make it worth using, because I don't really want to continue to use Blade Barrage, to be honest with you.
Well, you don't have the exotic that he has.
I don't need it. I have 6 Coyote, by the way. I got it last night.
I freaking hate you, dude. I would take off the Goyson vest in an instant. Like, screw having infinite super twice a game. Like, if I had 6 Coyote, oof, that I would just
infinite super twice a game. Like,
do you think there's
it's infinite super twice a game?
Well, the super is so bad that you literally just like you pop it and you're like, woo, I'm going off, and then the first kid with a handheld supernova one hits you, and it's like, wow, that was fun.
Do you think that the 6 Coyote is worth using with Marksman's Dodge at all, or only with gamblers? Yeah, only with gamblers. Yeah.
In PvE, I'd say hell yeah.
Right.
But and I mean it's good for like metal farming. Like if you're in quick play and you're like just trying to like get high kill games, you're trying to like super optimize, then yes, 6 Coyote with reload dodge is huge, especially if you're using like kill clip weapons. It's very effective. But in a competitive sense, like on the like in the competitive playlist, like a good player will not allow you to use marksman's dodge, especially not with 6 Coyote like effectively. You're just not going to have an opening that large. The only opening you're going to get that's that large is when there's like 6 people that are level 7 in the back of Convergence, firing at you with blue pulse rifles, and you're just like farming away, and you need more bullets.
So just to go through the changes that they have planned here, and I don't know when this patch is coming, but I'm assuming soon since they're giving us such specifics. Spectral
I think they
Blades
said, with the season 5 update, right?
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's
Yeah,
when it's
so
starting.
it'll
Whenever
be
that is
it'll
supposed
be
to
the season. Well, yeah, we actually have a date. Gathalion tweeted it out. It was November 27th.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's also, by the way, when the season's ending. It does say that at the end of the TWAB,
Right.
which means you don't have a lot of time to get your stuff done, but we'll get back to that. So Spectral Blades is being heavily retuned to increase the reliability of melee attacks in PvP and bolster the effectiveness of the super's stealth capabilities. Following changes are planned to reach these goals. So increasing melee lunge range of all attacks, that's good. That should improve registration. Reducing the cost of light melee attacks, that's good, because it's almost worth it to not do that at all, except a little bit to close the gap, and then right clicking, pretty much. Increasing the number of consecutive hits required to speed up the attack rate. Okay. That's fine, because you're not going to get a lot of consecutive hits anyway in PvP. Decreasing base attack speed, also fine, because of how they reduce the cost of light melee attacks. You don't want to be spamming that anyway. And the range is increased as well. Retuned melee targeting to have a greater emphasis on player input. Yeah, I'm confused by that wording, but it seems like a controller thing based on.
No, it's also MNK thing. It just means that the direction. So right now with Spectral Blades, a lot of times you'll be aimed right at a person, or like sometimes even away from a person, and you'll like randomly get targeted back. It's just like going to take what you're aiming at more into account. So if you're aiming right at like somebody in a group of 2, you're more likely to hit the person that your camera is directed towards instead of whatever the super randomly decides.
Okay.
It's the correct target.
And then increasing viability of stealth mechanics by adding damage resistance to the stealth state and decreasing super drain when in stealth state. My only question is the damage resistance going to also apply to flawless execution or whatever when you crouch and go into a stealth state? They don't say.
They're talking about the super.
If it did, I think it'd be a bug.
Yeah. They're just talking about the super.
Yeah. I still don't think any of these changes will make it a pure super. I just think this is like how it should have launched, It's a roaming super that's melee based, and the melee hit registration is super unreliable, and you have to be like, I feel like I have better melee lunge distance just with a regular melee on the class than I do in super.
Yeah.
So it's still one of my favorite classes just to run for fun, but I don't know, when like a warlock can literally just like hover above you and you can't really do anything.
Yeah.
There's
the
one
biggest problem with like hunter roaming supers is mobility, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're not.
Well,
yeah.
What I was gonna say,
mobile is what you're saying. Yeah.
I was a little bit
just not
sad to
mobile
see that the super changes didn't include being able to swipe more than once in the air now. I just think that's the dumbest thing. Every hunter roaming super, you can't swipe in the air more than once now all of a sudden in Destiny 2. It's terrible. I mean, these other classes, especially like Dawnblade, is like able to fly 1,000,000 miles an hour around the map. Why can't we swipe multiple times in the air? It's just stupid.
Yeah. all the top tier Warlock supers just have incredible mobility, right? Like you're talking about top tree Stormcaller, new Nova Warp, like Dawnblade. The mobility is crazy. And then Titans, well, they either have really good shutdown supers or like hammers. You don't even really have to hit them with hammers. Or Sentinel just has like crazy resilience, right? Like, so hard to kill any of the Sentinels just because like you can outblock. But then Hunters just fall in this weird spot where Blade Barrage is the only valuable viable one to run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I hope this at least makes it viable to the point where I don't have to run Blade Barrage, because right now I'm like only running it for the super. The throwing knife is complete trash, and unfortunately I'd love incendiary grenades to be great because it's like a skilled grenade, but they suck, man. They're just terrible. Like I use them all the time, and it's like, oh, at best you're gonna do 120 damage if you like land it perfectly, but it probably will only do like 7 damage most of the time. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the neutral game on the other subclasses for Hunter are way better, especially even Spectral. It's like Spectral Blades arguably has the best neutral game of any
Because
of the
of
subclasses,
Venom
right?
Smoke.
Yeah,
Venom
like
Smoke
you can
is
wombo
so
people.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's a great. It's like what it's in my opinion is the only like. I mean, just the smoke grenades like in the wombo combo, and then like being able to like go invis on headshot. Like it's the most viable like sniper neutral game.
Now, Hafi, you have the Guys Invest, so I'm actually curious because I mean I don't want to jump around, I guess, but like they're saying they're investigating an issue where the perk roving assassin with Guys Invest is not always activating. Like
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it could your infinite super glitch could get like even more broken when they fix that.
Yeah, could
basically.
get even better. I mean, the fun thing about the infinite super glitch, right? Like, is like something changed when they patched the game recently. The last patch, just something changed with the way the super is stacking, because now you can stack the amount of super. Like, it is like skill based. It's not like you like to an extent. Like, it's not like super difficult to do. But in order to get the thing rolling, you have to get 2 consecutive kills like fairly quickly in the super, so that like the amount of super that you're getting back for a right swipe will start to like stack and be double, so that you can maintain the super for longer. Like,
maybe it's intended, man.
I mean, I think that would be a really random. It can't be intended. It literally can't.
They just didn't expect anybody to get 2 kills with that super in the first place. So.
That seemed fine because you get 1 kill and you're good. You know.
Yeah.
The shadow shot without Orpheus rig in a PvE scenario, might be the same kind of deal. Or
maybe that just explains all of the balance around all of the exotics that give you your super back instantly, right? It's just
shards of Galanor is the same way.
Because none of the devs are able to get more than one.
Thumbs.
Yeah.
I don't understand how like we make it like a really skill based one where you can only get 1 kill, but if you get that 1 kill, it'll extend it by like 20%. Okay, but what if they get 2 kills? Well, then it's infinite, but we don't expect that'll happen.
I mean, the balancing decisions are definitely weird. Like I've pointed out before, I'm like, okay, so you have like shoulder charge, which is like this 1-hit kill ability. They put like a huge range on it. They make it so it tracks like in every direction, including vertically. You can change directions with it in the middle of sprinting, and it's no problem. And then they're like, hey, let's give the hunter the Tempest Strike. After they activate it, it only goes in one straight line. It's not always going to 1-hit kill, only if they're standing in a very specific point of the trail that gets put down. And there's no mobility to it. It makes them stop dead in their tracks. That's balanced. You know, like
if you followed through on a Tempest Strike, like if it like sent you with the strike like in an animation forward, it would be cool.
Right.
Like maybe you could use it for like mobility and getting damage out there, but it's most of the time a bad idea to use.
Yeah. I know. It's just so weird how they decided to to design that when there's other abilities in the game that are just so much better, you know?
I will never understand shoulder charge being a one-hit kill and not being able to headshot kill with throwing knives. Like, it just makes zero sense to me.
We talked about this last week, and I don't think that they should one-hit kill, and the reason is mostly because of the hunter's ability to get the throwing knife back so quickly. You could just like Gambler's Dodge spam and
Yeah, but
be
isn't
like,
that the same thing with the Titan smash and the insurmountable skullport?
yeah, but you have
Yeah, but
infinite range
we're saying
too.
we don't like that.
Yeah, I definitely don't like that, but there's also infinite range on the throwing knife, like even though on mouse and
Even though
keyboard,
it's impossible to hit.
yeah, it's impossible to hit. But yeah, we talked about that last week, so we'll
But theoretically,
that.
it's bad.
right.
Yeah.
And theoretically, so is insurmountable skill.
Yeah,
Except not so theoretically.
that's not theoretical. That's just true. That's got to go. And so one last thing about the supers, they threw this thing in about Chaos Reach here. They want to retune it so when you deactivate Chaos Reach, you can't just like get a kill and turn it off and have most of your super. They're gonna add a heavy penalty if you deactivate it early in your super, and make it less aggressive if you deactivate it later in your super, to try and promote some strategy with that rather than just being a piece of garbage. So
they actually, to me, it sounds like they just like straight up like nerfed it, and they were like, yeah, we decided we didn't want this like cutoff thing to actually be as effective as it is.
Well, they don't have. I don't think that class has right now an exotic to extend that super, right? Correct me
They
if
have
I'm
an
wrong.
exotic to get
They
it
have the
back really
boots.
fast. Yeah, the boots.
yeah.
What boots are those?
I've never had that. There's some exotic boots that I think as you sprint, you get more super energy, and if you slide, there's something with it, like the duration of the beam too.
Yeah.
But I don't exactly know because I don't
Well,
have
it's
them.
still. I mean,
It's if you get a kill, because there's a video up online right now of a 17-second long chaos reach that was done by chaining kills.
Okay.
So this is, you're right. I don't run into this problem a lot, but if you remember the game, Huffy, we played that game on Pantheon. We played against 2 warlocks who had the boots going on, and it was the weirdest thing ever. Like every 4 seconds, they were shooting another chaos beam. All of a sudden, it's just so bizarre. Like they'd just deactivate it and then like pick up each other's light. It was like, what the fuck is happening right now?
That might be the reason behind them.
Right.
They deactivated, sprinted to each other's light, and by the time they sprinted there, they had it again.
So maybe
we're
that's
playing
my
on
problem,
1600 DPI.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say maybe that was my problem. Is like I don't think I've ever had this ability to work. Like since I've unlocked the subclass, I was like, I would always deactivate like maybe half of the way through it, and then it would just be at my super bar was basically at nothing anyway. So I was like, why would you ever cancel this? I don't understand.
Oh no, the problem is if you one bang and cancel immediately, like you immediately in point blank in somebody's face and then turn it off, you still have like most of your super full. So it's like
gotcha.
I thought they said it was going to be 66 if you did it. Like it's supposed to be, if you did it above 66, it would be at 66. And if you did it below, like
I don't know what the percentages are. But
66 is like pretty easy to get the full.
Yeah,
especially if there's orbs of light on the ground.
So maybe they're just nerfing it to half.
Yeah, and then if you activate it late, it's like just keep your third or whatever, which is fine. That's cool. That's all I really have to say about that. We have a Gambit free trial this weekend and double Infamy again.
It's actually awful to play Gambit this weekend.
Why?
Unless you're playing in a 4-stack, then it's great fun.
That's always how Gambit is. So
Gambit
is
an experience.
1 or 2 players or solo queue. Don't do it. Don't.
Well, that has nothing to do with like being this weekend though, because it's free.
No, this weekend there was a guy who was like staring at me as I was like killing things. He was just following me around.
Yeah.
on our team.
You know, I don't want to hear any complaining out of the guy who's running all linear fusion rifle perks on his armor to use the frickin' Queen Breaker bow. All right.
Oh my god.
I could do that, or the sleeper stimulant.
Oh my gosh. Raise your hand if your enjoyment / expectation / intended experience with Gambit is far different from what you thought you were gonna get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey!
Yeah.
Absolutely. I still
Playing a
love
lot more Gambit.
I love the feeling of invading, but like these metas in there, it just ends up making it so obtrusive. And I gotta say, the Queen Breaker bow, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with the balance of this gun. It's just like, it's impossible to not hit a headshot with the damn thing.
You know,
You hip firing from the air, spinning around, and it's like, up, headshot across the map, you know, every
I
time.
was having a discussion with chat, and I was using the long charge, the heavy one with the high impact.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think it was Reese who said, you know, try the quick one. No difference in damage.
Yeah.
It's just like instant.
Yep. And a smaller and a lower zoom scope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally,
it's easier to get headshots on that one because it's like a 3-prong approach thing to it.
Yeah.
So it's like somewhere in there is your head, and that's gonna hit.
I will be playing.
Forehead.
I will be playing this weekend because all I need is the ship, and I will have the dredging title. So I'm trying to get those servitors to spawn. But after I'm done with that, I will never solo queue it again, ever. And I'm only gonna play basically if people ask me to. But other than that, it's like
I enjoy it, but that's only because I'm running the literal meta.
yeah. Well, some of us don't have 1K or Queen Breakers, so.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
It's insane. If you load in and the other team has 1K and you don't have a 1K, it's like scary. But if you like, if they have 2 more 1Ks than you, you're fucked. Like if you load in and you have 2 and they have 4, you're not winning. If you load in and you have 1, they have 3, it's impossible. Like you should just leave the game. Like it's
if you have 1
happen.
and they have 2, it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible if you know.
Do you have like a Queen Breaker is on par with a 1K. So like if you have a Queen Breaker and you have a 1K,
use it a different way, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they don't know what's coming at them when. I think the spawns when you go to invade is just it's way too predictable. It's way too predictable.
It's way too predictable, and the RNG, so like my experience is like if I don't get the high ground, I am just fucked. Trying to snipe on an upward angle is the worst thing ever. So like if I get the high ground, I can usually snipe out all 4 of them no problem, as long as they don't just like hide in the back of the map and I have to run a marathon. But if I spawn on the low ground, then I'm just like sprint trying to angle around and get like hope they poke their head out, and it's like it just wastes so much time.
Yesterday I had a game where, because I've been doing all the invading lately. Yesterday I had a game where I was just destroying these like chat was like, you're gonna make him quit the game, I think. Like you've been killing him so much. There was only 1 player left with 15 motes, and he ran to the back in a little corner. And I had 15 seconds left, and I was like, "Yeah, all right, I'll go after him."
That's a long time.
He hid in a little tiny corner, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna die."
Yeah, that's what I had to say.
Snipe him anyway from point blank, just because.
Yes, I did.
Oh my god! I actually had a guy yesterday who was hiding in the back and with 15 modes, and I sniped him in the head. And it was like he was the last one for the team wipe. And I went back through after that, and he just straight up messaged me, "Fuck you." It's like, wow, that's toxic, dude. You're angry. All right.
I had to report today who was using language and like racial slurs and things like that.
Well, that's way over the top. I mean, I could tell this guy was mad. But...
oh no, he was definitely mad because he said whoever N-word stole my moats.
Oh, jeez.
Just go,
Jesus, dude.
just go blank,
Gambit tryhards, man.
blank,
Yeah.
Yo.
blank,
Free
and
D-
blank, blank,
so
blank.
people from Xbox are coming over.
Yeah, well, it's
we're
free
wilding
Gambit
out here.
weekend.
Yeah.
Free
Yeah.
Gambit weekend with the free trial, so that's.
Oh yeah,
probably
the
what it
game is
was.
free and Gambit's free. That's interesting.
Taco Eater 89 is just gonna do unspeakable things to your
Playing
mom.
Gambit. Yeah, so it was bad. It was really, really bad. But you know, I just reported it. I'm gonna moved on. But
So
I can't imagine how you have to be like, in order to use that kind of language. You know what I mean? You have to be a very hateful person.
nah, they're
Exo,
just
listen,
they're just like 12-year-old kids, dude, who are angry. That's all it is.
Yeah. Exo, he feels the same way about you though. Like you and your Queensbreakers bow. He's literally
Yeah.
sitting in his room like, for
No.
that guy to use that Queensbreakers bow, you just have to be fucking racist.
The guy who told us all of that stuff, all those racial slurs and stuff, was actually on our team
Oh my
because
god.
we were taking his moats. He said.
There you go.
Yeah, they're just little 12-year-olds that don't understand the implications.
I mean, I played Xbox, and when I play Xbox, I'm not family friendly. So you
I mean,
can't be.
you-
It's just something that naturally happens when you boot
You
up.
have to defend the honor of your mom no matter what it takes.
yeah.
My dad works at Xbox, right? You're gonna get banned.
So we talked a little bit about Iron Banner. Do you guys think there's going to be any new weapons? Because there's been a lot of weapons missing from, like, in terms
Nope.
of. No, really? Like, there's like 3
Well, I
weapons.
think the weekly ones. Yeah, I think the weekly ones will change, right? And there
Yeah.
might be. I don't know what they have and haven't put up yet. Well, I know they last.
There's no
time,
hand
the
cannon.
pulse and the sniper. Oh yeah. I don't think they're going to introduce any new weapons, but they're going to
Nope.
rotate what the available ones from the bounties are, right?
All right,
Like
I'm not
maybe they'll
playing.
Add in the SMG and the rocket launcher or something.
Yeah, doesn't it actually say which ones are from what bounty now, or no? Or does it say just from random
Yes.
bounties?
Yeah.
No,
And
no,
it
it
has
says
the
what
curated
bounty.
ones that
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm not
they're gonna
playing that.
introduce like a hand cannon.
nope.
Like, it doesn't even say legendary gear. It just says like the actual item that drops.
Right.
Does anyone else find it weird that the shader they chose for the Gambit and all the weapon designs looks like you smothered all of the weapons in actual fecal matter? And
Gambit leather.
no,
Yeah.
That's the
for Iron
brown-
Banner right now.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
yeah. We
all
talked
the
about
weapons.
this. I think Exo's exact quote was like, "The shader looks like somebody rolled out of a dumpster or something like that."
It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just give me my all black shader and be done with it, dude. Like that's all I want.
So the other thing, like we mentioned before, the season is ending on November 27th. So any seasonal triumphs or quest steps that you're working towards, you
And
need to
things.
finish them before then. Especially if you're working on Lunas or Redrix and you're close, and you just need like the glory requirements for Luna, you want to wrap that up, because otherwise when you reset next season you're gonna have to do it all over again. The quest will still be there, but you'll have to do the glory grind again. So
I have to reset twice in Gambit. So.
oh well, at least you got double infamy weekend this weekend.
Oh, this weekend?
Yep,
Nice.
which
Cool.
starting today. But yeah, last weekend with triple infamy weekend, I just farmed the crap out of it. I already have my 3 resets and I have the ghost, so I'm just
Yeah, I think I was at like 13,000, and I'm like 7,000 right now
Mhm.
from last weekend. And I didn't really play a whole lot. Yeah, I mean, I did yesterday, and I only gained like 2,000 points because we would lose a match every 2 matches we would win, so we didn't get that 5x win bonus.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on like the last point here. If anybody wants to put any questions in chat to ask, go ahead and do that now, and we'll get around to a couple of them. But the last thing they mention in this TWAB, they just throw this in here at the very end, if you notice. We're excited for the future of Destiny 2. Season of the Forge is coming up quick. The hell does that mean? Have they ever mentioned this before?
I assume
Yeah,
it's
they
Black
mentioned
Armory
it.
related, right?
They mention it in the map, the game, like I forget what it's called, but I forget what they call it. The
roadmap.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Oh,
the
okay.
roadmap. They said that each season is going to have a name. This one is Season of the Outlaw, and we're moving into Season of the.
Wow, I didn't even know the one we were in was
Oh, I
called
didn't see
Season of
that.
the Outlaw.
Yeah, and
No, yeah.
the next one, the
What's wrong with the numbers? Season 4,
Gambit,
Season 5.
because I think they're like they don't want to be.
Because
know,
it's like South Park when you're like, oh, South Park season 10.
Ugh.
Season 10,
like,
man, was so good, but season 15, let me tell you what.
bro, holy crap.
They sold out.
I mean, this season of South Park is like good now because they're embracing the fact that they're dying. But the last few were just dog.
All right, I have a question in here. He asks it every week. He's been spamming this in my chat since the beginning of this episode. Reese wants to know when we're doing a GuardianCast Petra's run for like the 100th time. I have no idea.
I gotta finish this. I
have to finish my comp grind, dude. I'm so worried. Like I'm up to 4,000. I gotta go 1,500 more, and now I thought I had till like mid-December, but November 27th.
Technically, you can.
So.
All you have to do is get 5,500, and you'll still get it. But next season.
No,
I want the title, and you got to get it 3 seasons for the title. So.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I got other people.
I'm getting carried in a raid. Pencil me in, boys. Like,
I just don't know.
Hey, let's go.
When you're talking about the season, right? When you're talking about the
Yeah.
season, the season of the Outlaw. Next week is a couple weeks from now is season of the what? It's not the Drifter. They said season of the Forge, right?
Yeah, Season of the Forge.
Yeah, and then the next one is
I don't know.
Gambit related and D2 Forsaken roadmap. I'm just gonna look it up.
Okay. One thing I want to mention about these seasons that I had an epiphany yesterday when I was talking with Reese. Once I realized this is starting on November 27th, I was like, man, how are they going to do that? Won't that mean the next season's not till May and it'll be a huge gap? And Reese reminded me, no, there's 3 DLCs before September.
Yeah.
So there's actually, like, we're going to get another reset probably in March or something, and then one in the summer. So, like...
March or April, yeah. The event, so here it is, Season of the Forge. The event is the Dawning, which is, obviously, we know that's coming in, Christmas. And Black Armory hits around the same time, probably a week after. The free seasonal update and the Season of the Drifter or the Forge is where heavy machine guns return, new weapons, new Crucible content, Iron Banner gameplay updates, and seasonal ranks. Season of the Drifter is with Joker's Wild, which is the second one, and then this is the one that I can't actually. I don't like the name of it because it's just Season of the Redacted.
Oh, right, because Penumbra is supposed to be mysterious. That's why.
Yeah, but it doesn't give me a season name. Just give me even if it's Season of the Penumbra.
That's a cool one. Actually, you stupid.
Give me a
Season
of
cool.
It's a Season of Antumbra.
What?
Oh
it's
my god!
Joke, man. Come on.
Do you guys think so? If it's ending on November 27th, do you think the 28th that Black Armory will drop, or is there just gonna be this weird gap in time?
It's gonna be a week.
Yeah, I assume the week gap, right? Like that's normally how it goes.
Yeah.
The DLCs always have done in the first month, so it'll be December.
Well,
December 4th.
So, but last year, Curse and Warmind dropped simultaneously with the seasonal changes, though.
Yes. Yeah. But there's going to be a week
Forsaken, there was a gap
because
because they gave us that preview, though. That's why they gave us the Crucible preview.
Yeah, but there's also big updates like Forsaken. We got that a week before, and they said that that's kind of the way that they're going to do it from now on.
It totally could be that it's the next day. I just assumed it would be first week of December, but
I just don't know. If the season's ending, what the heck are we going to do for a week?
Nothing.
Yeah, I guess we will find out. We will find out probably. They mention at the beginning of this TWAB that they're doing these 2 streams, the Bungie Bounty Gambit and Bungie Last Wish Ride Along, and they said they're gonna have some gameplay with commentary from creators, so they'll probably mention some information.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch those streams. I'm sure if anything important happens, there will be highlights of it.
I think for people who have never seen The Last Wish, they're gonna really, really enjoy that stream because they're gonna go through the entire raid, explain what happened, explain the lore behind it, so that we know
they're gonna struggle with their own mechanics that they put in the game. It's gonna be great.
See, I wonder if they're gonna
ribbon
be like,
cheese.
if they're
Oh my
gonna do
God.
the ribbon cheese. Yeah.
No.
And right here is the mechanic that we've been talking about. We love so much.
Yeah.
It's
We
a
put it in
community-
intentionally, by the way.
Yeah.
The community have figured this out that we did this, and so let's show you the ribbon cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So we
I
designed
think we
ribbon
as a
style.
community, need to hold them to like the same standards that we rate. Like we make them go in Destiny 2 LFG Discord and
Oh my
look for
God.
their raid team.
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious.
Be like, where's
Yeah.
the Petra's run, Bungie?
Yeah.
Oh, my patrons run.
Do the Petra's run. Oh, you have to reset? Oh, I'm sorry. Here's what you have to do. Just go log into another character, load in all your characters in on that character, and then you can change your other character. So you have to reset the raid that way.
I will say, I'm in terms of the Petra's run that keeps getting brought up over and over again. I do want to get it done because if they ever patch that ribbon cheese, then it's gonna be like impossible. So
I don't think it's going to be impossible, but they're not going to patch it, so it doesn't matter.
They won't.
yeah,
They didn't patch nothing with Callus, and
Leviathan.
he kept getting easier and easier the more powerful weapons came out.
true. And you could like one phase Argos too.
I still think we should get it done this weekend, though.
Can't.
Yeah, I really gotta comp it up.
Ugh.
Which, by the way, exciting news, guys. I just found out I have the night off, so I'm pretty excited about
There you
that.
go.
Tonight?
Yeah, I literally just got a text message during the podcast that I have the night off, so it's exciting
Oh, that's
stuff.
awesome.
Yep.
I have a wedding tomorrow, so I can't be up too late. I'm so sad, bro. I
Oh,
hate
yikes.
weddings. I actually love weddings.
Weddings are a lot
Is
of
it
fun.
a Polish wedding? You go to a lot of Polish weddings.
It's a Polish wedding.
Oh my
bro.
gosh.
I-
you're
just-
tight knit into that community at this
You
point.
are
so tired
shoehorning
of
yourself
playing
into Polish
saxophone, bro.
weddings. I think you should branch out and maybe do, different kinds of ceremonies.
Yeah.
I mean, the Poles keep hiring me, so they'll buy angle.
Kielin, we need your assistance again.
Kielin, they pay with pain, Kielin. Kośna Kielona.
But that's all I have for this week, guys. You have anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
listening.
you looking like a snack, Recked.
Well, thank you. So, Rebase, thanks for coming on this week. It was a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was a
It was
blast.
so good. You're the man,
Um,
Rebase.
This has been
Well, you-
episode 37, guys. We're trying to get Jack to come on within the next couple weeks, so we'll get that locked down, and
Yeah.
we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.